Welcome to HyperScale Video Workshop. My name is Brett Green, and today on my doorstep I received a parcel from Poland containing IBG models 1/72nd scale, early version Focke-Wulf 190 D-9, and also the rather more speculative Focke-Wulf 190 D-15 Torpedo Bomber. So I've really been looking forward to these. IBG's latest releases, both on the military and the aircraft side of things, have been very nice indeed. So the Focke-Wulf 190 and the Dora in particular have always been one of my favourites. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this. But I've as usual, managed to control myself and not open the box until I have the camera running, and you can live vicariously with me as I look through the contents for the very first time. So this is not a detailed review. I'll be posting one of those on HyperScale this week, but it will give you a good idea of what's in the box and whether you think you might like it or not. Let's have a look. So it's a lid style box, fairly soft cardboard, but over a stout folded cardboard base. So the model is well protected, which is just as well because it looks like it had a pretty rough time sometime between here and Poland with a crushed box. So we have individually bagged sprues. This one is for the fuselage. They're not Ziploc or self-adhesive, so I'll grab my trusty Alpha knife and slice that open and take a look. And it's very nice. So we have lovely fine riveted and panel line detail on the fuselage. Really nicely done. Very nice indeed. You know, I sold my collection of 1/72nd scale unbuilt kits about 10 years ago thinking, you know, the detail's never going to be as good as 48 scale or 32nd scale. And I tell you what, it's just a different proposition today. These things are beautiful. So that is absolutely lovely. Next up we have the wing, lower wing. Once again, that single sprue is in an individual plastic bag. And once again, we have absolutely beautiful detail there. So I don't know if you can see the panel line detail and the very fine rows of rivets that are there, but that's just gorgeous. Really, really nice. Also on this sprue we have the upper cowl, the Dolly Parton cowl, as Jerry Crandall called it at one stage, and the supercharger intake, as well as the propeller, the VDM9 propeller. So next up we get the upper wing halves, sprue J, and in common with the other parts, you'll be surprised to hear, we also have lovely recessed detail on both panel lines and also, of course, rivets too. On the inside of the wings, we also have moulded the upper detail of the main wheel wells, and the pitot tube is actually moulded onto the end of the leading edge of the starboard wing. I'll probably cut mine off because I'll undoubtedly break it off, and if I break it off I'll probably lose it. So at least if I cut it off, I've got a fair chance of finding it again before the model's finished. Next up, let's have a look at one of the miscellaneous sprues with detail parts. We have here, looking at all the various bits and pieces, we have the cigar-shaped drop tank. I think that is a cigar drop tank. We've got separate elevators. We have a very nicely detailed cockpit tub, the horizontal stabilizers, and we also have the ailerons as separate parts. Looks like we have a couple of alternative engine cowlings. We'll have a look at that in more detail later. We have the undercarriage legs, the undercarriage covers, the late style and early style bulkheads on the canopy, and some very nice one-piece main wheels. So they're all up to the same high standard. So each individual sprue is bagged, which is why I'm just taking an extra few seconds with each of those sprues. Oh, that's very interesting. So we have also a basic engine block detail, as well as the exhausts as individual parts. There's a turbocharger there as well. Sorry, supercharger, I beg your pardon. And cylinder heads, and this is mostly engine detail by the look of it. So that's interesting. You've obviously got the option of displaying the engine. If you recall, when we just had a look at the fuselage halves, the engine cowls are moulded shut, so presumably you'll have to cut those open if you want to see the rest of the detail. Although you do actually see some engine detail through the front of the open wheel well bay. So it may just be there so that you can get more than just a hint of the rear end of the engine. And the final grey sprue contains more detail parts, and they are, interestingly, there's 3 different styles of spinner. I think the one with the big opening is actually for the D-15. We've got a wing spar there. We have the instrument panel, the rudder, we have the instrument combing, the seat. There are 2 styles of the regular 300 litre style drop tank. We have the tail, undercarriage, engine mounts, various different types of engine mounts. Obviously they'll be different for the D-15 and the D-9, and some smaller detail parts here as well. And an engine crank too, if you want to start her up. So they all look very good. So that's it for the grey plastic parts. We now have the clear parts, and there are 4 clear canopies. I'm assuming one set of 2 is blown and one set of 2 is flat, and I'm assuming out of those pairs that one of the pair is destined for the open position and one is destined for the closed. I can see from where I'm sitting that the front of 2 of the canopy parts are significantly pinched compared to the other parts. So the pinched ones are going to be the open canopy position. And the windscreen is a separate part, of course, as well. Next up, we have the decals. So just unzipping that. Actually, before we look at the decals, let's have a look at the photo etched fret. And there it is there. Some nice little details there. So it looks like my cigar-shaped drop tank might have actually been embalmed, because it looks like we've got fins there. We've got oleo scissors for the undercarriage and a whole bunch of other little details there too. Very nice. Decals are supplied on 2 decal sheets. It looks like there are markings for 3 aircraft on this modest size decal sheet. Yellow 9, black 3 and black chevron vertical bar. So they're nice. The decals are printed by TechMod, and we also have a dedicated sheet for stencils and other markings. The instrument panel and side consoles are provided on this as well. So that's them, and then we have quite a substantial, for a 72nd scale model, instruction booklet. So there we go. It looks like it's A4 size. It runs it hasn't got page numbers on it. It's quite substantial though. I'd say it's probably 16 pages or so, and lots of assembly diagrams there. You'll have fun building this one. It looks, just my initial observation is that by the number of parts and the level of detail that I've seen just glancing at them for the first time, there's really very little given away in terms of compromise of detail or parts breakdown compared to a larger scale. So it may be 72nd scale, but it's highly detailed. So very impressive indeed. I'll take a really quick look at the D-15. I expect that there'll be a couple of different sprues in there, and we'll just confirm that. So in bearing with the rather speculative origins of this aircraft, I'm not sure that it reached production status. There might have been a prototype or two, but we certainly have a very speculative camouflage scheme for that as well. So let's have a really quick look at the contents here. And the first thing I notice is we have some alternative engine cowl covers, the upper engine cowls, as new parts. It looks like, yes, it looks like the fuselage is actually a, I'll open that, is actually a new part as well, and there's a large insert on the port side for the bigger supercharger of the D-15. So that's a completely new pair of fuselage halves. We also have the torpedo. I don't know a lot about this particular torpedo off the top of my head, but I will do a little bit of research and include some more details in the inbox review that I post on HyperScale later this week. And there may be other different parts in there as well, but what we do have that will certainly be different is the Decal Sheet. So it looks like we have the same stencil sheet that we had on the previous, but we also have a what if Decal Sheet with at least two speculative what if schemes for a D-15 Torpedo Bomber. So there we have it. They're gorgeous. They're just gorgeous. I was wrong 10 years ago to get rid of my 72nd scale stuff, although I've got to say nothing that I owned in those days compares with what we're seeing today from companies like IBG, and we've also seen with Armour Hobby last week having just finished building their P-51B. So it's a new game now. It really is. They're not for beginners, I would say. You want to have a little bit of modelling experience before you tackle one of these kits, but an average modeler won't have any trouble at all. Well, that's all I have for you now from HyperScale Video Workshop. From Brett Green, it's bye for now.